Guys, so part 2 of this project, or the next phase, is we need to split for the PTO brake not working. And that sounds kind of trivial to some people, but when hooking and unhooking the PTO shaft on these power shifts, when that PTO brake quits working, the only way to do that is to shut the tractor off or hit your disconnect lever, and that pushes a throwout bearing and operates this torsion plate just like a dry clutch. Then you can hook up your PTO and then jump back on the tractor and then put this back into operating condition. But the PTO never truly shuts off, so in an emergency situation, you can't shut it off. Or if you're working on an auger or something back here, or a baler or anything, the PTO does have the opportunity to start rolling. So it is a serious safety concern. To get to the PTO brake on these tractors, we need to split it at this next intersection. Clutch housing to transmission split. We need to go in here. You got them 2 bolts right there. We got to get them out. And then I'm going to roll this back together so then the stands can hold this clutch housing for me. Otherwise, we've brought the hoist. We can bring the hoist over and try and sling this up somehow, but it just works too easy just to roll the engine back in, put a couple bolts in so the clutch housing is bolted back to the block. It's easy because we don't have to line anything up. And so the nice thing about this project is nothing is pointless. So even if we found nothing wrong, everything looked brand new here, there was no wasted time because we had to split here anyhow to get to the PTO brake problem. So we're kind of fixing things as we go, and 2 birds, 1 stone, I think is how you say that. But that's a busy intersection. We got a lot of plumbing crossing that joint. So we'll get this floor plate off. I'll clean my tools up, get this battery box off. But we got, we got some, since this is moving, we got to make sure our 3-point linkage, our park cable, our shifting is already unhooked. Then there's a lot of hydraulic lines crossing over that joint, our selective control valve. Here's the valve. On the early model, on the 10s and early 20 series, your selective valve is here, so then your plumbing runs down under the floorboard and around. And so it's a busy intersection. There's a lot going on there to get out of the way so we can split that tractor, roll it apart, and change out that PTO brake pad. And so, yeah. So I'll get them bolts out. We'll get this together, and we'll see where we're at. Here we are split. Your PTO brake is this red pad there, and it rides inside of this gear, except we noticed something odd on this gear is you got a lot of movement. This washer is supposed to be indexed to that flat spot, and it was almost pushing that snap ring off. Your top shaft and an idler gear sit there. That's your top shaft. Your idler gear, use a magnetic tray because you got all the needle bearings. When we took the filters out, we noticed a lot of little glitter in there. And on the sump screen, there's a bent up snap ring. On the sump screen, there are some really shiny, hardened metal kind of flakes. And it would make sense with this bearing out that they would come from here. But the filter was damaged, and we've got some metal flakes. So we're going to pull the shift cover off to inspect like park and stuff. But now we'll pop the 3-point off and pull our shafts out the back of the clutch pack, get this cover off, and then we will pull that planetary pack and then clean the table off and get that planetary pack onto that table. Just as simple as that. Remember, there are O-rings here. It's not just a gasket. There's O-rings there. So keep that in mind. Yes, yes. But it'll be interesting to see what we find. Get that stupid... I don't know how I'm going to get that off of there, but we'll always find a way. Many times, these big nuts for these hydraulic pipes will be froze or very difficult to get off because you're in a bad leverage spot and stuff. The air hammer, just hit the face flat, but just be on the lower side, burp, and support the fitting with another wrench. And it usually 99.99% of the time, 99, it loosens them right up. So we're about to pop that transmission cover off and see what the park looks like. Dung, dung, dung. Well, there it is. That's your whole transmission. And that 9 inches. Ha! Is that not crazy? I really wanted to pop this cover off. Here's your park paw. I got the string tied up. It's quite a simple system. We'll zoom in. So there it released. You see under that spring, it's just a cam and a roller. But now that it's hitting on top of the gears, that feel you feel when you pull down here and it's you're pulling, is there's actually a coil spring on the outside that your lever's hooked to. So you pull against that coil spring, so then if the tractor rocks when you shut it off, then that park will activate. And there's your toe disconnect. You can see the splines right there. So now it's disconnected, and we'd have to, there it's connected. And and there you're back into park. And so quite simple. But now let's get that 3-point off. Well, there we go. 3-point is off. Our toe disconnect, you got a nut here, and same on this side. Get them loose, and then them shafts come out, and then we can get this yoke out. And I've already got this bearing cover off, but one pipe here, and the 3 bolts, and the cover comes right off. And then here's the pin for our park pawl if you had to do anything there. So let me get them pins and the disconnect and that stuff out, and we'll just lift the pack out. Grab your long punch. And this one happened to fall right out. Otherwise, if you had to give it a smack, this one's aluminum brass, not hardened steel. Well, there we're rigged up, ready to lift. We'll give some tension. Start putting, whoop, he's starting to move. So we'll come in here and kind of feel with the pry bar and help. I might have to put the phone down. I kind of limited here. Who put that 3-point right in my way? But it's dowel pin. There's a dowel pin. See, this side is up. So we'll set it back down and get this side to get caught up. And I'll get back to you. Ah! Ha 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 ha! Okay, that's a little over dramatic. There she is. That is your 8 speeds right there. And so, yeah, let's tear that puppy apart and see what we got here. Whenever I pop stuff like this apart, I just put some center punch marks. Center punch, you can't wash it off, wash it away or nothing. And then again, like everything else, as we take it apart, we're just looking for stuff as we go. First thing we notice is just simply taking the bolts out, we're covered in black goo. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything bad in here, but them are the little things you just pay attention to. Well, here we got it tore down, and it's what we hoped to find. What we were hoping to find is nothing. The thing is we're only out a few hours labor to get to this point from where we were, but at least here we can verify that, hey, it really is good inside. And that's what we wanted to see. We did get this gear off, and the roller bearings are shot because they are not smooth. They should be super finished, shiny, smooth, and we can see inside that gear the damage. So we'll look for a used gear, shaft, new bearings, washer and snap ring. So now all we got is a lot of cleanup. We just got to pull this shaft and then clean. So, well, there we go. When you've got 60 tons of power, not many things are going to argue against you. And that worked so slick. It moves so slow you almost gotta hold your finger on the cylinder to watch it move. But I originally put the slide hammer on here, gave it a few whacks. That thing was solid. So I thought, well, heck, I got this bracket already welded here. So I put some press blocks, some 1-inch plates here to, capture the housing and be something to press off of. So I only got that 1/4 inch left, and then I'll have to readjust or take it apart and finish with the slide hammer. But guys, I really appreciate you guys watching these videos. I know sometimes I don't do the greatest job for explaining every little detail, but I hope that I honestly help some people with these videos. And I really love it when guys comment and be like, hey, that one video back there, that really helped me out. And so I'll get better at these, but thanks for watching.